Friends, family, fans, we are live, baby, episode. Ooh, let's try that again. Friends, family, fans, welcome back to another episode of Back Nine Bets. I don't know why I changed the intro. Episode 163. Is it the Masters yet? The Valero Texas Open will be discussed for the first half of the show. The second half will be Masters look ahead, because that's what you really want. So I know what you want. I know what I want. Let's give each other everything that we deserve and need. We're going to dive into some fun stuff for the Masters. But first, we're going to knock out a couple bets. Cards kind of light, kind of like I'm feeling these days. So we're going to take a quick peek at some of our bets, go through the model, use all that jazz. Always, please, the show is sponsored by DraftKings. Please go use code FGD when signing up as a first-time depositor. We'd really appreciate you doing that for me. Asseblief, meelief. In Afrikaans, that please means yes. And we are off to the races. Coughing already. I just did a stack system session shortly before this, trying to get the guns going, get the miles per hour on the ball speed popping, so that when the summer shows around, we can show off some intense driving ability and try and break par this summer. That's the goal. We shot level par last year once, didn't quite get home. So the goal, as always, to break par twice and see where that goes to get to on average 180 mile per hour ball speed. So that's going to be a fun journey. Did 50 miles on the bicycle yesterday. We are feeling vibrant. It was 85 degrees. It's 65 today. I've got a contractor coming to renovate this office. They're going to take a quick peek at this. Mini Maniac number 2 on the way. Got to make some space because Tiny Tornado number 1, wherever she walks, boy, it is just carnage. So we need more space. We need more stuff. I need an office. I need it soundproof so that I can give you guys the very best that you have. Let's get into the Valero Texas Open. Let's take a peek at the model, all of that fun stuff. As you can see on the screen, we're going to be looking at the model this week. We've got the last 12 months worth of finishing positions. We got some DK pricing. Tee times just came out on the PGA Tour website. Shout out JP Del Frio for letting me know. Unfortunately, Data Golf hasn't popped it out there. That's how I populate the sheet with that formatting. I can't type in all the times on my own. I'm not going to waste my time doing that. So we've got our last 12-month finish rates. As a result, we have got ourselves 15% total, top 5, top 10, top 20, to count as the first 15% of our total model weightings this week. Event history, going to have 10% of that going into this week. The course is kind of predictive of past success, not to a massive extent. Next week for Augusta, we will ramp that up to like 25%, potentially 30%. Course history at Augusta is paramount, but this is the Valero Texas Open. You can see the best finishes over here, all that jazz. Then we've got finishes in the last 10 weeks. That's part of the recent form calculations that we'll be looking at. I'm predicting the course to play as it typically has. If we take a look at the last 5 years, 2/3 of rounds at TPC San Antonio have had hellish conditions where scoring averages every single round have been over par. 2 of every 3 rounds are over par scoring averages. I got sick like 6 weeks ago, and I've had this lingering ass cough. So apologies there. The cough button is working overtime lately, especially on the solo shows. You get rattling off here, but that is what it is. Harder and hellish conditions are going to be the motto of this week's scoring averages. I think we can't expect scores to get too crazy. We're going to have to kind of keep an eye on the weather. If there's lots of rain, it can soften up the course. It changes the whole profile. Still waiting to see what the actual rough length looks like. The longer the rough, the more difficult it is, the more important fairways are. But most of the guys we bet, they're hitting fairways regardless. So we like that a lot, and they've got some good course history here as well. As always, we're going to be using some key metrics from the micro model, strokes gained putting and strokes gained approach, kind of double dipping on those 2 elements. I think those are 2 of the essential parts of succeeding at the San Antonio course, the Oaks course over there in San Antonio. And then we've got the micro model. We're going to be using 20% of that. That's basically a course fit. I'll zoom in a smidgen for you guys so you can not have to zoom in too much. As always, make sure that you are on HD when you are on the YouTubes, because then you can see everything in crystal clear HD. If you're looking at 340 pixels a second or whatever, it's not going to look as good. You know, this is a detailed spreadsheet. I am the model maniac. This is what you're getting from me. So zoom the hell in, Byron, and keep that stuff in HD. Then we want some recent form. 15% of 2026 is going to be part of our strokes gained over there to give us power ratings for that. 15% there. And then we're just doing a nice little pro-rated 10%, which is going to basically use the last 12, 8, 4 months and 2026 strokes gain data, and kind of which last 12 is going to have a bit more weighting there because it has more total rounds. Last 8 will have a little bit more. Last 4 will have a little bit more than 2026. So 26 will have the least. Last 12 will have the most. So we're getting a nice solid baseline feel as well, as long as we have this 15% here in 2026 as well. If you're in the mood for round 1 showdown and all that jazz, we'll have this populated shortly. We've got round 1 strokes gained. We've got our value ratings over here, which, as you can see, most of the model rankings that we have in the model should show us the DK Power rankings versus the Model Maniac Power rankings to give us a feel on how we compare versus their pricing. We're going to dive into a lot of pricing as well because we don't have too many bets this week. I am going to dive right into it now. I've got these notes over here for the player pool on most people already. Obviously further down the board, if it's an empty box, I'm not necessarily that thrilled about the guy, so don't expect notes on him, kind of thing. But we'll get to those guys at some point once tee times come out, get a bit more information. We're going to be rocking and rolling. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to hide this column, give ourselves a nice little clean, crisp look of what we're looking at over here. Siwoo Kim leads the model in position number 1. He is going back to San Antonio where he hasn't had a top 10, but he is number 1 when it comes to the course fit. Sorry, Sepp Straka is number 1, but Siwoo is number 2 in the micro model. So if we go over to the micro model, wherever that is at the bottom over here, we got all sorts of stuff for you guys. Taking a peek at the micro model, Siwoo Kim is he's just going to hit fairway after fairway. So if you're looking to kind of dive into what exactly he does the best at this specific golf course, you can see over here. This is basically the scorecard for TPC San Antonio Oaks course. So you can see all the different green regulation rates. You can use this for various props, people. If you're in the mood to kind of bet overs or unders, you can do that because I'm giving you what you can expect these guys to score. You can see the score for Siwoo is expected to be 70.2. Whatever the course, whatever the books are going to give us, you can take a peek at that, see if it makes sense, find yourself an avenue to take advantage of. The strokes gained approach for Siwoo is going to be scintillatingly good. Inside of 100 to 150, he's not necessarily the greatest wedge player, but once you get outside 150, he is going to be dialing it in. He's gaining 1/10 of a stroke on every single approach shot per the micro model outside of the 150 ranges, So most of those are going to be coming there. We've got about 6 inside of 150 where he's kind of neutral. But again, he's going to be in the fairway more than normal. We've got an average fairway percentage of, I'll tidy this up here for us a little bit, make sure that we have all the right stuff. Fairway percentages for this golf course, once this update here is going to tell us, but Siwoo Kim's fairway percentage is 63%. I think we can look at a 51% fairway hit rate at TPC San Antonio. So you are going to be looking at him just giving himself perfect opportunities to kind of fire at flags from nice tight lies where you can generate the most total spin, and off we go. Sounds like the chat saying that Siwoo Kim is 6:30 a.m. Thursday. I mean, that's nice. I went and took a peek at the weather as well. If you guys want to take a look here, Thursday got some thunderstorms in the morning that could hold things for about an hour or two, depending on what's happening. But there's no real wave advantages yet. It's getting hotter over the course of the day, as it is on both days, I'd imagine. Some rain in the morning on Friday. That could help the afternoon wave, depending on if these guys even play in the morning or not. Then they could be the afternoon wave, and then we could have golf on Saturday morning to finish round 2. It's a bit of a disaster when there's lightning bolts. Ask Harry Potter. Problems follow him wherever he goes. Very, very much looking forward to Harry Potter coming out in December on HBO. That's going to be a fun time seeing all of that. So the weather is going to be windy. That's all I can tell you. Windy and warm. So lots to be enjoyed there. I'm going to get this out of there, kind of figure out what's going on. Here is a wager that you can't even see who it was, but we are going to be popping that on the screen here for you guys shortly. Here's the Masters and stuff that we're going to get to. Back to Siwoo Kim, back to the model, back to everything we're in the mood for. Let's check it out. We are taking a peek at Siwoo because he's a ball striking beast. He's been sensational this year. He started off the year with a 6th, a 2nd, and a 3rd, and kind of hit a bit of a neutral zone. after that. But we've had 2 weeks off. I'm expecting him to come out firing. I'm expecting him to go rocking and rolling. Custom hat, wig shelf inbound. Ooh, I might have to get a wig shelf like Moira from Schitt's Creek, huh? A little wig wall. We'll see how that goes, G-Hack Attack. So Siwoo, that's, checking 6 boxes. All the boxes we're checking this week are hellish conditions and hard conditions. If you gain over half a stroke in each one of those areas, micro model ranking, course fit ranking essentially, course history, strokes gained over the last 12, 8, 6, and 2026, total finish rates over here, and then the model ranking. So if you check all of those boxes, you are going to have a green background, just like Russell Henley does. And that is going to be our first bet. Since you saw the top 20 there, 1.3 units, going to be basing out bet on Russell Henley for a top 20 at minus 128 over at DraftKings. Ties paid in full. That means that if he finishes T9 with 6 other guys, you get your full payout. If he finishes T19 with 6 other guys and you don't have ties paid in full, unfortunate to you, because you're losing money most likely in that situation. You're gonna get some of your stake back, but you're not going to be getting your winnings. So we never want to get your stake back. You want to eat the steak and get winnings instead. Healthy, nice, medium ribeye steak is what you're looking for. Anyway, top 20 rate for Russell Henley is 78%. We used to call this man the Sex Panther because 60% of the time he's inside the top 20 all the time. Sex Panther Platinum, this is what he's dealing with now. He's approaching top 10 range of Sex Panther. He's almost closer to that than he is top 20 and finishing inside the top 10 44% of the time. So if we're getting minus 130 on a guy who's finishing inside the top 20, basically 4 in every 5 starts, that is a delightful bet to me. He's one appearance here. He finished 4th in 2024. That's good to see. If you take a look at what he's been up to in recent form over here, we've got 1 miscut. Every other finish has been inside the top 20. They've mostly been signature events. So the quality of field that Russell Henley's been dealing with and still finishing inside the top 20 has been way better than what we're going to see here with, the guys that are sitting outside the top 10, essentially. I mean, we got Robert McIntyre, who's solid, Keith Mitchell, Rio, Thor, Nick Taylor, Alex Noren, Marty Doe, Michael Thorbjornsen, Seduction, Bezzy. Those are names that you should be taking care of business over most of the time. So Russell Henley finishing inside the top, literally, 78% of the time, 4 of every 5. As you see on your screen, he's finishing inside the top 20. So that's good to see for old Russ. Across the board, hard conditions, he's kind of struggled in the past for some reason. That could be a sample size situation. If you really want to drill down and see all of that, you can actually go to the course difficulty section of this tool, see what's cooking over here. And we can go to hellish conditions, because I know Russell will be pretty high up there for hellish conditions. Where are you, my friend? Here we are. So if you scroll over here, so this is a sample size problem for Russell in the hard conditions. He's only played 5 rounds of golf over here. So I'm not too concerned about him just eclipsing 0.6 strokes. He's actually gained over a stroke in those 5 rounds on average, but because of the sample size, I've reduced that down a little bit. You need at least, I think 10 strokes, 10 total samples in this thing to kind of take that on. But as you can see, Ludwig's been playing the same tournaments as him, that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to see this profile for us. He's fantastically confident. He's fantastically in good form, and we're going to be betting him at 18-1. That was the number prior to Colin Morikawa's WD. I think it's down to 17-1 at DraftKings. Still go hit that thing with the nice little lead hammer. I would not mind Russell Henley taking care of business. As you can see, strokes gained off the tee is mainly done with the accuracy. This golf course doesn't require that much of a bomber's situation. If we take a look at the micro model one more time, we can pull up Russell's stuff and take a quick peek at the reason why he's going to have success at this golf course. He's ranked number 7th in this model for the course fit, which isn't ideal, but it's still a top 10 situation. As you can see, he's 5th in the field when it comes to driving accuracy. That's good to see. I'm saying see a lot, but you can see what's going on over here. When you're taking a look at driving distances at TPC San Antonio, there's 4 holes where the average driving distance is 300 or more. One of them is 300 on the button. So there's really only 2 par 5s where you can hit your drive 300 plus on average. So that's kind of a perfect situation for Russell Henley. You know, these guys aren't hitting drivers 315, 325 yards like we saw at Houston at Memorial Park last week, where that entire leaderboard was just ball speed imposter type situations. Guys that have 180 mile per hour ball speed or more were at the top of the leaderboard. When you're taking a look at that, Russell Henley's going to thrive, baby. He's going to be hitting 61% of his fairways. He's going to be hitting 60% of his greens, which, you know, he's been struggling a little bit when it comes to the iron play. It used to be one of his best traits, but he's become a short game specialist. I mean, once you take a look at around the green and short game stuff over here, it's just gaining for days. So it's still good to see him do that. And I've been watching Russell quite a lot because I've been betting him quite routinely. If we take, if you go find the bet track over here, we can find Russell's stats and see how we've actually, you know what, we can do that. Nope, I'm staying on track. Russell Henley checks all these boxes. He checks every single box, all 6 of them. That's where we want to go. Course history, recent form, total finish positions. We're looking at course fit. We're looking at model rankings. We're looking at hell and hard conditions. So he does it well in all of them. I love to see it from Russ. Let's get partying. We're going to bet him outright 18-1. We're going to be playing him to finish top 20 at -128 at DraftKings. There we have it. Next up on the board is going to be Brian Harmon, past champ, defending champ. He finds himself right in the mix. He doesn't check a single box, but that's okay. This is a very unique situation where we go into a guy that doesn't check too many boxes just because he is the past champion. He's very tidy around the greens with the putter. It's a bunch of fairways. Doesn't check out the micro model because, you know, his strokes gained are getting sucked into there. So it still gives you a kind of feel for where he's going. Hasn't been playing the greatest golf the last couple months either. But if we go over to see what old Brian Harmon's been up to, we've got 11th place at the Players, and he's typically played quite nicely at the Players in the past. So that's a good thing to see. I think it's kind of compy as well. It's not a very driver-heavy venue. You don't get penalized for not having tons of distance there. You want to be hitting fairways. You want to keep the ball in play. That's what we need at San Antonio this week. And as a result, Brian Harmon has finished 25th and won the tournament in the past. So we're going to be taking a chance on him at 70-1. Defending champ, basically once a year, defending champion wins. So at 70-1, that's a free play now. In my opinion, at some point, the defending champ is going to win this tournament this year. So might as well be Brian Harmon. Let's see what he can do. It's not the first time he's a defending champ. He is the Open champion as well. Plays great golf in the wind. If we take a look at what Brian Harmon does the best in, it's hellish conditions. When scoring is over par, when hitting fairways is important, and getting up and down for par is important, Brian Harmon does that well. So he can lean on what he does best with around the green play and the putter, and then we know he just pounds greens in regulation because he's always in the fairway. So that's Brian Harmon's situation for you. He has a very good course fit if he's playing good golf here. He hasn't finished inside the top. I'm looking at Stephen Fisk there. Solly. He's been solid, you know, inside the top 20, 40% of the time. You know, this is a 70-1 option. We don't have to be thrilled about it, but as you can see, the course history is very, very good given what he gets up to at this venue. So that's going to be Brian Harmon for you. And then a reason to jump into the Model Maniac Patreon. Use code VALERO26 for 50% off your first month there. It is the Masters week, so go ahead and support your boy. You know, I've got renovations to pay for you, so I can get you a nice studio, and then we can have a good time. 140-1, Yalla Maraju dropped that in the Discord on Sunday. That is no longer available. I think there's a 40-1 out there now. So I wouldn't bet that, unfortunately, but I have to share just to kind of pump the Model Maniac Patreon. If not necessarily the best at finding the winners, you know, came close with Nikolai Højgaard last week. He beat everyone that he needed to, apart from Gary Woodland. I've had that now with twice. I had Justin Rose lose to Rory at the Masters. Like, whenever I go up against a guy that's going to have the storybook ending, I know it's over. So we knew that was over because it was just them two that could have won the tournament going into Sunday, and Gary ran away from him. Nikolai kind of ejected early, didn't quite work out there. It is what it is. So still had a decent week with the placements last week. We gained some more profits there. I think we are now up 6 units in the placement market for 2026. The first round leaders, the leader bets, and the outrights are kind of where we're losing our money in 2026. So when we are betting, be sure to know how to allocate your funds. The placement markets, the Russell Henley top 20 is where we're going to be going. Taking it easy this week. It's a weird week when it comes to everything that's going on. The weather, the odds board is nasty. It's just a nasty odds board. So as a result, we're not necessarily looking at getting too involved. Definitely going to jump into a couple guys as the week unfolds, see what the course is playing like, take a look at weather. There could be some weather edges that develop over the weekend, over the course of the week. We'll see how that goes. So Russell Henley, Yalla Maraju, and Brian Harmon are going to be on our cards. If we're trying to find Sir Durshan Yalla Maraju, he's 18th in the model, playing here for the first time, but he's finished 5th and 6th in his last 2 starts. At the Players and the Houston Open, he's finished 5th and 6th. So Cognizant Classic, he finished 17th too. Solid stuff from him in that department. I think we can expect good things from the Yalla Maraju man. I think it's important to note that he's, solid in hellish conditions as well. When scoring's over par, he's a fantastic putter, a solid iron player, and hits it a million miles off the tee while still finding fairways. That's good to see. 7th in the field in the course fit, which I like that a lot. So we'll see what old Yalla Maraju can get up to. I think what's hurting him a little bit is his overall top 5, top 10, top 20 rates. Not necessarily the greatest, but he's starting to find himself in some good form now. So let's see what old Yalla can do. Go from there. I'm going to rattle off a couple more DFS plays as we're rocking through the board. Unfortunately, couldn't get ownership in. That's not out yet. It's still, with all these WDs and things like that, I think it's been tricky for these guys to figure out ownership because figure out tee times. These guys are peeling in, peeling out like lemons at a citrus bar type situation. No idea what that means, but off we go. So Tommy Fleetwood comes in 3rd in the Model Maniac rankings over here. He is obviously a winner at the Tour Champions, which, he beat 29 other guys. It is what it is. Inside the top 5 routinely. I mean, inside the top 5, he did a couple of those when it came to DP World Tour starts. This includes worldwide starts for the most part. So he's been playing solid there. He finished 7th here in 2024. The 62nd was courtesy of an 81 on Sunday at last year's Valero when the winds were crazy. So just sometimes guys don't feel like playing good golf in conditions like that. It is what it is. He was outside the top 20. I think he started the tournament Sunday in 34th. I was looking for a top 20 from him. It didn't quite come home. It was tragic, actually. At 62nd was a monstrous ejection. But this year, he's had an 8th, a 7th, and a 4th outside of the API 49th. He's just never played that course well anyway. So if you're looking at his strokes gained in 2029 and 2026, it's down. But if you take out the API, it should be back up where, and I want you to put the word out on the street there that we back up because the API is a bit of an outlier that skewed his strokes gained a little bit. So we want to make sure that you are kind of looking at contextual clues when it comes to analyzing strokes gained and things like that. So make sure that you do take a peek at, if there's one bad outlier, I wouldn't be too worried about it. This is some very impressive play from Fleetwood to start the PGA Tour season. 3 top 10s. And unfortunately, he couldn't get us a top 5 at the Genesis Invitational. But had he got a top 5, we wouldn't have cashed out Aldrich 55-1, who was a solo top 5, and we didn't have ties paid in full. So that was a blessing in disguise. I'll take that all day. I'm not going to bitch about that whatsoever. Tommy Fleetwood for you guys. Checking in. Sites, my brother, welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for being here as always. Henny 25-1 in the 3 places each way markets. Get it, baby. That book has restricted me, unfortunately. So, womp womp. Can't get there. It is what it is. The chart. Let's go Romasas. Let's have it, brother. Let's have it. Just going showdown this week. I think that's a great option. But, DFS isn't the worst thing either to just kind of, that's where I'll be putting most of my funds in. Likely will be mostly showdown because I'm going to be doing 150 mini-max, 50-cent entries. I think I got 29 or 35 bucks back off my $75, so I didn't lose it all. And my best lineup was a 5 of 6. So I had some really good lineups that just needed one more dude, obviously, which I think is everyone's problem at the end of the day. Anyway, so that's what we're dealing with there. When it comes to Hideki Matsuyama, I'm actually going to pull up the comments that I've made. As you can see with the color coding, anything that's blue is going to be one of my core options, a guy that I'm heavily building around. Anything that's green is going to be part of the rotation through the player pool, and then anything yellow is going to be less than 5% of lineups. And you can probably say 5 to 15 is going to be green, and then 15% plus will be blue. If you're looking for, my exposure that I expect to have, we'll see how the Sweet Spot DFS optimizer pumps these guys out for me. So that's going to be a fun time to figure out there. Hideki, the driver has been a major concern. At a golf course like this, you've got to take care of business with the driver. If we take a look at what Hideki's situation is with the driver, it's one of the few guys that's just not getting it done off the tee above you. Like we're going to have to scroll all the way down to Nick Taylor, who's 14th in the model, to find the first person losing strokes off the tee to the field. So that's what you're kind of getting with Hideki, and it's quite a considerable amount. It's not just fractionally, it's like a third of a power rating over here. So these are not strokes gained, by the way. These are power ratings, so that you can use these percentages up top to figure it out. If you want the actual strokes gained, you can take a look over here. Hideki Matsuyama. Okay, he's actually neutral off the tee per the micro model, but everyone else around, like people are gaining tons of strokes around him, projected wise, So that's what you're kind of getting from Decky. Obviously, the iron play is fantastic because he hits it close out of the rough. He does all of that very, very well. His short game is scintillating, and he's been putting quite nicely too. That's what you're going to be getting. But at the same time, Hideki's only had one top 10 here in 2024. We've had a 30th, a miscut over here was actually a WD, I believe, in 2022. And then he missed the cut here last year. So if you're not taking care of business off the tee, if you're just missing the fairway, depending on the length of the rough, it's not that big of a deal. If it is, let's actually take a look. Do we have the GSI situation here? Field? No, we don't. So unfortunately, I don't have that for you, but it is what it is. If you're missing by a lot off the tee, you are in the roots, you are in the oak trees. You could have to be dropping if you're missing it into the bushes even. So it could penalize you quite severely. And Hideki is absolutely liable to have a couple double bogeys if he keeps his driver the way it is. It has not been accurate at all. And it's not like he's lacking distance where he's losing off the tee. It's the fairway finding rate. It's not very, very good at the moment. Who is driving the ball a lot better is Maverick McNeely. And that can just be the reason why you find yourself with finishes in the last little while. Only one miscut for Mav at the Genesis Invitational. He tried a mallet putter there and lost a million strokes putting. But he's been driving it fantastic. And as a result, you're not finishing worse than 32nd in any of the tournaments he's played. He's had 2 weeks off. Rest up, baby. Fly a couple airplanes around. Relax. Practice. Recover. Practice. Rejuvenate. Practice. So that you can put some putts in, because we need you to improve on your best finish being a 10th. He's grading out fantastically for me. 5th in the model, which is fine. I guess I need to hide this column because I'm hiding all of this stuff behind the comments. So let me zoom out a smidgen as well so that that's over there. This is still probably stuff you can see. If you can't see it, please let me know. But here's Mav for you. His best finish here last year was a 3rd. So he's got some good course history. He's made the cut all 3 years. That's good to see. And, finishing inside the top 30, 63% of the time is fine. I think he's projecting great driver of the golf ball. We know he can light it up with the putter. We know he can do great things with the irons when he's feeling it. So I'm expecting good things from Maverick McNeely, and we're going to be playing him a lot. In my notes over here, I've got him blue. He just makes so much sense given he's scoring in hard and hellish conditions. So if we go over there, we should see, because you're such a good driver of the golf ball, you're going to be finding yourself doing a lot more good work keeping your ball in play. The hard courses and the hellish condition courses are places that really reward good drivers of the golf ball, because that's where the danger lurks. You keep it's dominoes. If your first domino is falling into the rough, tough. You know, if your first domino is falling down the fairway, you've got full control over your golf ball going into the green, likely hitting the green more, and not having to chip, not having to have to get up and down all the time. You can try and make a couple birdie putts. He's a great putter of the ball. Let's see. Let's capitalize on that green regulation rates. Off the tee prowess. Let's go. Ricky Fowler's next up for us, and he's the best ranked 8K option in the field for me. And that's not crazy, but it's relevant. And he's also checked 4 boxes for us as well. Solid in hard and hellish conditions. And my word, if you are looking for a ball striker, friends, let's go over to the Model Maniac micro ratings over here and just get in strokes gained balls. It's not going to take you long to find a Ricky Fowler. Siwoo Kim, Daniel Berger, who's also WD'd out of here. I can clear that. So Siwoo, Sepp Straka, Austin Smotherman, Colin Morikawa's WD'd. So he's just getting better and better as we go through this. 5th in the field now in strokes gained ball striking, gaining 1.26 strokes ball striking, which is delightful to see. So we like Ricky Fowler a lot. The short game around the green, not the greatest, but it is easier to scramble around here than most places. If you've listened to multiple podcasts, they would have told you that as well. He's a great putter of the golf ball too. We are also, like Maverick McNeely, looking for Ricky Fowler to improve on his 9th place finish this year at the API. Ball striker's paradise, right? So love that from Ricky. He's just been finishing inside the top 20 quite religiously. We jumped on Ricky Fowler last week for a top 20 bet. It was part of my Sports Illustrated panel. And guess what? Ricky freaking missed the cut. So it is what it is at the Houston. I think he was 11th after round 1 and then just ejected. So that's the situation we're dealing with over there. I think it is going to be a good week for Ricky Fowler. He's projecting very nicely. He's finishing inside the top 20 52% of the time. You could potentially be looking at a Ricky Fowler top 20 if you're in the mood. If we go over to DraftKings real quick and take a peek at what they're offering us here. If I slow down my brain a bit, I can find the buttons we need to click and just see. I think Ricky Fowler should show up relatively quickly. He's plus 116. I feel like that's a solid option if we're looking at his course history. Yeah, he's got 2 top 20s in the last 5 years, one of them also being a top 30. So you can definitely kind of imagine that's going to be going. He's playing much better golf this year again. Last year, he kind of played mediocre golf and still played nicely. Yeah. So there's a lot to like about Ricky Fowler. Maybe if you're in the mood, you can dive into the top 20 market for Ricky. How does he do round by round? His best round is in the first round of most tournaments. So definitely be looking to play Ricky Fowler in Showdown. And the showdown secret with Ricky Fowler is you do not play Ricky Fowler when he's close to the top of the leaderboard. This is why you only bet him top 20s. This is why I'm not going to bet him to win the tournament. This is the stuff you have to kind of contemplate, because every time Ricky's within the lead, he like clams up for some reason. Some people just have it. Some people don't. You know, he's never won a major because some people just don't have that killer instinct. And as a result, there's Ricky Fowler for you, doing great things when he's not even close to the lead. You know, he starts at the same level playing field as everyone else in round 1 and then still plays some good golf along the way. Ludwig Oberg is next, 5th in the micro model rankings. He's been playing his best golf for quite some time in 2026, despite not winning the Players, which he should have absolutely done. Kind of pissed that down his leg a little bit there, but DK's got him priced 2nd. I've got him ranked 7th. So there's a bit of a discrepancy in that department. As a result, we're going to be looking at Ludwig Oberg in a less, I think, a green light, actually a yellow light. So we're just going to kind of lean into Mav, lean into Henley, lean into the other guys that we have above him here, and then sprinkle him into some of our lineups over there. So that's what's going to be happening with Ludwig. And then, you know, 14th place here in 2024. We've got 2 top 5s now in his last 2 starts, which is delightful in big events as well. That 3rd place at the API was kind of backdoory in a weird way because the 2 guys ahead of him were a million miles. Akshay and Danny Berger, WD'd. So hard and hellish conditions, he's averaging 1.4 strokes between the 2 of them. That's good to see there. If you're looking for Ludwig in any sort of round-by-round market, he kind of finds his absolute groove on Fridays and Sundays. Saturdays, he has a bit of a short-circuiting. You know, in the last 12 months, he's not really gaining strokes on Saturdays. So if you're looking for Showdown, as my man, who was it? I can't remember, said they're playing Showdown only. So there's your Showdown element for you. Ludwig in rounds 2 and 4 does his best work. One more name before we jump to an ad break is going to be Jordan Spieth. He ranks 8th in the model. He does fantastic work at this golf course. He's a winner here in 2021, and he hasn't finished worse than 35th, with the other two finishes being 10th and 12th. So, I mean, 3 of his last 4 appearances at the Valero have been top 12s. It's tough to argue that. And then when you take a look at his lead-in form coming in here, his best finish is an 11th, but it's not really that bad anyway. You know, we got one miscut at the waste management. That was his debut. I think he played the Sony. Sorry. So he missed the cut at the waste management. But outside of that, nothing worse than a 32nd. He used to be Jordan Spieth, the wild man, the maniac. You know, the guy that you never know what's going to come at you. Now it's just like Jordan Spieth, the dad, who has got that grooved-in golf swing from ages ago that he just isn't playing elite golf, but playing fantastic golf. So I never play Jordan Spieth when he's chalky, but I feel like this is the one spot you can, because he's playing good golf, coming to a golf course that these results at this venue in the last 5 years. We took a look on Sunday night, me and Sweet Spot on Back Nine Bets YouTube channel. Go check that out. Hit the subscribe, like and comment there, please. I would love that. We took a look at that, and he was playing ass. He was playing great. He was playing somewhere in between for all of these results that all resulted in 35th or better, 3 of them top 12. So it's just this golf course. He just plays well here regardless. And it doesn't hurt that he's playing great coming into the week. So that's where we're going to be looking over there. I'm seeing some people jump in the chat. Hello, Sia Najad. Go over to Positive Works after the show. Go hit the like, hit the subscribe to that wonderful YouTube channel if you're looking for just inspiring content from the man himself. Is there going to be a wind wave? Go to the beginning of the show, Rich. No, there isn't actually going to be one anyway. Giggly balls. Giggity, giggity. PMAM says gaming. I disagree. Egg Waffle says, my man, what's cooking, my man? Egg Waffles. I think you are in the chat, by the way, in the Model Maniac Patreon. We might do a giveaway right at the end of the show as well. JP Del Frio, too busy eyeing out the tea times to be on time, are you? Anyway, Ludwig, good in difficult conditions. Amen. Yeah. So, we'll be sprinkling him in. I do like other options. I think Ludwig will be quite high owned, unfortunately. It's just people love the Swedes, Ludwig and Thor. The people love to click those names. It is what it is. So that's where you're going to be going. But in the meantime, grab a quick water. We're going to hear quick words from DraftKings. Golf season has kicked off, and there's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy, the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. Right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving new customers a shot to play free for their share of millions in prizes with their first deposit on the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. It's simple to play. Build your dream lineup while staying under the salary cap, then sit back and watch as your players rack up points. Every birdie, every bogey, every clutch putt, feel the intensity of every shot. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and enter promo code FGD to play free for your share of millions with your first deposit. That's for new DraftKings customers. Just download the Daily Fantasy app for your shot today. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Restrictions apply. Minimum $5 deposit required. One single-use $3 ticket rewarded that expires in 14 days. Ends March 25th. See terms and conditions at DraftKings.com/promotions. Sponsored by DK. Awesome. Thank you so much for all being part of the DraftKings experience here on Back Nine Bets. We really appreciate all of you. Use code FGD as always. Moving on down the board, Sepp Straka, going to be heavily invested in this man. Have not bet him yet, but he's number 2 or number 1 in the micro model course fit. Hellish conditions. Hit those fairways. That's what he does. Gain strokes off the tee. Dial in the irons. Yes, that's what Sepp does, and he's kind of tidy around the greens and with the putter. Does a lot of the good work over there. Not necessarily playing his best golf in 2026, but he is still gaining heftily in that department. So you can kind of expect Sepp to do good work here. How has he played in the past at this venue? We've got a 22nd and a 67th. So that was, 2023 and 2021, he wasn't quite the guy he is now. We can expect even better things from Sepp moving forward. Finish inside the top 5, 1 in every 5 starts. So he does give you that high upside potential if you kind of just filter by top 5 percentages over here. We've got Tommy Fleetwood, Chris Wrighton, Garrick Higo, Sepp Straka, 4th in the field. And these 2 frauds over here don't even have comments, so can basically ignore them. This was Garrick. Garrick, my man. He rattled off, I think, 5 finishes inside the top 5 to end the year. And now he got 5 missed cuts to start the year. It's just pathetic. Anyway, quick tilt there for us. Moving back to the model rankings over here. Sepp Straka, love what he's doing right now. Keith Mitchell, let's take a quick peek here. Potentially could actually be looking to bet him top 20 because he's plus 150. Let's actually do that. We're going to fire off a live bet. Once this is over, I'm going to pop in a Keith Mitchell bet here. You're going to probably place 0.3 units or so, 0.35 to win 1. I'm lying to us. Whatever we need to bet to win 1 unit for a top 20 on Keith Mitchell, we will be going there at plus 150. Let's party in that Keith Mitchell situation. If you're taking a look at his top 30 rates, it's basically the same as his top 20 rates. So don't be betting the top 30, bet the top 20 because you can invest less. It happens basically as often. So when that doesn't cash, you've lost less. And when you do win, you're winning as much as you would have. So a nice way to stay profitable over the period of time is to avoid kind of finding markets that are simultaneously happening at the same time as others. Every time he finishes inside the top 30, it's also a top 20. So that's what you want to be looking for Keith Mitchell to do. He's finished inside the top 20 here 3 times in the last 5 years. All 3 times he's played, he's finished top 20. This year, we have got 1, 2, 3 top 20 finishes in the last 7 starts. So he's been playing signature events. He's been playing a lot of the big boy tournaments. He's a great driver of the golf ball, as you can see here by the strokes going off the tee when we go over to the micro model rankings. His ball striking is fantastic, and the putt is quite poor at the moment. It's just not working for him, but he gained strokes at PGA National, where they play the Cognizant Classic, and he had himself a T6, which gives you some upside. And guess what? The last 3 times he's played at the Oaks course here at San Antonio, Keith Mitchell has had himself positive situations on the greens. So he finds his groove quite nicely over there. Killer Keith with a 400 to 1 each way 5. What? Oh, 40 to 1. Yeah. So I agree. Do I think he's going to win a tournament? No. But do I think he can top 20 for us, which we will be betting now? Yes, I absolutely do. The course history is too good. The recent form is too good. The ball striking is great. The putting really showing up at this golf course means a lot because that's what gets you over the edge. So maybe Keith can do it for us. He's $8,500. I'll be playing him quite a lot of times. Bobby Mack, $9,900. Shout out my boy Tybo. We will be betting him. He's on a heater now. He's had 2 in a row as well. So we're going to be looking at Bobby Mack with his best finish this year at the Players being a 4th place. That was his last start. Prior to that, he was basically just sitting between the top 40 and the top 20. Nothing too crazy. I like the other guys ahead of him more. It's as simple as that. They all priced in the same range, but checking 4 and 5 and 6 boxes. Bobby Mack is the first guy in the model rankings who only checks 3 boxes. Green is 3. So he will obviously check the hard and hellish conditions. He will probably check the finish rates. So that's 2 boxes there. And then you'll check the model ranking. Those are his 3. He's not going to be checking recent form in 2026 or overall. I mean, I guess. Whoa. That's pretty damn solid. What the hell's going on here? Interesting. Okay. So there's Bobby Mack for you. Quick micro model ranking outside the top 20. No good over there. And then we're going to take a peek at the course history. He's only got a 35th here as well. So that's the situation with Bobbert. We'll see what he does in that department. I don't know if it's going to work for him or not. I think I'm going to just kind of leave him alone. You can't play everybody at that price. Rio at Satsune, solid finish here, 5th last year, 13th at the Players, 30th at the Valspar. Everyone's kind of been on him. We were on him at the Valspar as well. Prior to that, Pebble, Waste Management, Farmers, all top 10s. So this guy has got 4 top 13 finishes in his last 7 starts, which is really impressive for someone that's $8,300. He checks himself 3 boxes alongside Bobby Mack. See what's going on over there. And then Thorbjorn Olesen, I'm going to be hinging around him at $7,800 quite a lot as well. We've got a 14th place finish here last week, and we've got a 14th and a 5th. A 5th or the 15th? Which one is that? A 5th in 2025 at the San Antonio Oaks course. So that's good to see. The great course history over there. On the DP World Tour, he had a solid, top 20 rate as well. Lots to like about him. He's $7,800. He's the first guy in the 7K range to show up in the model rankings. He checks 4 boxes, which is good to see. He's a ball striker, so he's going to be playing well in hard and hellish conditions. Hard conditions for certain. He's very impressive in those. You can see approach play. Hits a lot more fairways than he does when it comes to strokes gaining. So that's good to see. When you're losing strokes off the tee, but you are positive in fairway percentage rate, that's good because you're not going to overpower this golf course. You might have a couple long drives, bombing it down there, but if you miss a couple badly, that's going to cost you more than you're gaining by just nuking it out there. He's tidy around the greens. I'm looking at Nick Taylor by accident. The short game comes and goes. That's kind of why you have a couple high-end finishes over here, things like that. But I love the course history. I love the course fit, all of that. The price is fantastic. Let's go. I'm actually just going to be betting a couple more guys with you as we're rocking and rolling here. This is something we want to be looking at. It's Nick Taylor, real quick for a top 40. I'm going to quickly find his name and see what his odds are. Minus 126. Let's go. Okay. So, nope. There we go. If we're looking at Nick Taylor inside the top 40, maybe we can do top 30 if we want. But top 40 is still 71% of the time. We can get him at minus 130 on DraftKings. Minus 126 on DraftKings. So these are our 2 ads that we've made so far. Nick Taylor, minus 126 on DraftKings for a top 40. If we're taking a look at his top 40 finishes, we got his last finish here was 15th in 2023. That's going to check that box. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 40s to begin the year and a 42nd at the Players. That's basically a top 40 if we kind of handicapping it this way. And then missed the cut at the Valspar. Hard and hellish conditions. Nick Taylor does fantastic work over there. He checks the 3 boxes. He's tidy around the greens. Great iron play. Finds a lot of fairways. 16th in the model for micro fit. He's actually playing his best golf in 2026 compared to the other periods before that. So lots to like from Nick Taylor, but the problem for me is the lack of upside. If you're taking a look at this finishing position rate here, I can't put someone in my DFS lineup who's 4% of the time only finishing the top 10. We got everyone here double digits except for Spieth. He's sitting at 10% too. But, this course is special to him. So Nick Taylor, we're going to bet him instead of play him in DFS. Comprende? That's where we're rocking and rolling. Let's see what he can do for us. I'm in the mood there. And then the other guy, we're just going to do the exact, I copy-pasted the comments. It's going to be Bez. We're going to go over and find Bezzy over here. And we're also going to be betting Bez. I can't believe I never put these in the banners. Top 40, including ties. Christian Bezaid note, he's minus 110 over on DraftKings. Ties paid in full. If we check a look at what Bezzy does, top 40 rates are 50% of the time. We've got 2 top 40s in his 2 appearances at the Oaks course. Let's go, Bez. If we take a look at what he's been up to this year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a 51st. So we got 5 top 40s this year already and 2 miscuts and a 51st outside of that, in his 8 starts. So that's definitely worth the odds if you kind of do the equation there. Hard and hellish conditions. He's fantastic there. He's a short game guru. Off the tee, he's one of the worst. But I actually saw a video of him getting to 175 mile per hour ball speed, which he was thrilled about, which is what I average. So it's just hilarious, he was ripping it when he was trying to do that. So he's trying to get himself stronger. He's trying to get it further out there, but the distance is one of his worst attributes. You're not seeing too many negative distances here. I need to figure out the formula a little better, but it's still pretty bad if you ask me. Being in single-digit points over here is bad for Bezzy. So fairway finder for sure. Short game specialist for sure. Let's get it. Let's go. I'm in the mood for Bez. I don't know why you can't trust Chief Keith, but he's showing us. He's showing us what he's got up to. So you just trust the numbers. I'm done trusting myself. I'm just trusting the numbers now. That's all we're getting up to there. Smotherman, second in the model. Love that. We're rattling off tons of solid finishes. Yeah, he's a great iron player this year. All of a sudden, ball striking the places to death. He's going to dominate hellish conditions. The hard, not so much, but that could be a sample size situation as well. We're also looking at Smotherman with a 8th place, a 2nd place, and a 13th place. If that's not happening, it's a miscut. So a perfect kind of GPP option. If he's going to miss the cut for you, he's going to miss the cut. But when he's playing well, he's playing well. So let's see what Smo can do on the go. Jordan Smith is the next Jordan we're going to chat about over here. He had a 3rd at the Valspar, which I fancy as a very good comp course for this week. You can see, the 3rd can be used as a solid comp course. If you want to read the comment, it's up top here. That's what we're kind of in the mood for Jordan Smith with. He is, say that a couple times, Jordan Smith with. He averages over 0.5 in both hellish and hard conditions. That's good to see. It's the short game that typically lets him down. That's fine. He's going to ball strike this place to absolute death. I'm in the mood for some food called Jordan Smith. 31st in the micro model ranking. It's likely got to do with the short game. He's actually playing his best golf in 2026 as a PGA professional versus a DP World Tour professional. So that's good to see from the Smither. I'm in the mood for him. Let's see what's going on there. Marco Penge, I'm going to kind of just dial in on some of the blue comments here before we get out. I got to get done here in the next 20 minutes. Marco Penge is my guy. I believe in his long-term outlook. He obviously hasn't played yet before as a DP World Tour rookie on the PGA Tour. We had the 4th place at the Valspar, which I love that as a venue. That was the harder of the courses that he's played in the last little while, and he's fantastic in hard and hellish conditions. On the DP World Tour, wasn't quite thriving in the medium and easy situations. Hard and hellish, he's sensational. What was the Valspar? Hard as... So I like that a lot. Genesis Invitational also kind of relatively tough, if I ask me. So 2 of his last 4 starts have been top 16 finishes, with one of them being a 4th. He was in the lead at some point on the back 9 on Sunday at the Valspar before kind of over-juicing a couple wedges over the green. So that's kind of what happens when you get into the mix. So he's had a taste of American contention. Didn't last long, but still, he's $7,800. I'll be playing a lot of him. I think last week he was $8,800. Misses one cut, gets dropped all the way down to this price. Now, the course fit him a lot better last week because he's one of the better distance guys. 0.38 is pretty intense. So we'll see what old Penge can do. I'm a big believer in him. He's obviously won 3 times on the DP World Tour in the last little while. So that's what's cooking with Marco Polo. I don't think I had Max Homa as a love play. I think he's just a player pool option who's $7,000 and playing decent golf. 25th year in 2024. And he's kind of just floating in that 10th to 40th range. Nothing sensational from him yet. And the hellish conditions is not the greatest. In the hard conditions, he is. Hellish conditions could be some majors. I don't even know how many other majors he played, but he's hitting his irons well. He's making a lot of putts. Whatever else is going on in Max Homer's life, we don't really necessarily know. Someone asked me about Sammy Roughrider. Where is he? Here we go. Sam Roughrider. I bet him first round leader. Brian Van Gorder's mustache. Let's go over to round 1. And I'm not even going to search for Sam Ryder. We're going to go and just filter by strokes gained in round 1. And Sam Ryder should pop up. Oh, not really as high as I wanted to. Woo, that was a bad sell on my part. We're actually just going to search him. Sam Ryder. I think he must have been... frick it. He's been added since. Yes. Sam Ryder... What's his tee time? If it's a morning tee time, I'm probably down, just because you typically find the best scores, like the high end scores. The first round leaders come in round 1 for some reason in the morning, because the course is the softest, and there's no leaderboard pressure. You just go and knock it out. So we'll see. Okay, perfect. So if it's early, Sam Ryder, let's go. I would be looking at Sam Ryder for certain in the first round leader markets. Yo, what's up, Darbo, my brother? I'm still recovering from a lot of sleep deprivation after we finished our show at midnight. So that's going to be it for me when it comes to this week's stuff. Let's dive into the Dog Dominator and the tab called The Beast. I'm not going to hide the comments. You guys hang out over there. We got the Masters coming up, and I want to actually bring up a Patreon article that I wrote for Major Futures. We're just going to roll through this. Just some bankroll management, whatever, blah, 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 for you guys. Go and find Harris English at the book that you see on the screen over here. To make the cut in all 4 majors, he's 441 plus 400. To finish top 20 in all 4 majors, he's 50-1. These might have changed a little bit, but he hasn't played the greatest golf this year, so they might be pretty similar. And then to finish top 10 in all 4 majors, he's 250-1. I'm obviously not looking at that one as like anything that's going to hit, but we're going to place 1.1 unit on it to win 25, essentially. This is breaking 100, so 1 unit is $10 when you're reading this, okay? So 2.5 units on the 4-1 to make the cut in every single major. If we take a look at Harris English, you can use this tool that's part of the Model Maniac Patreon. You can just go in here and click majors, click on the different tournaments. You can filter on the years, you can filter on whatever. So if you're taking a look at what Harris English has done, if we remove this 2022 period and 2023 period, that was when he was injured and having the hip surgery and all that jazz. Look at all these made cuts. Look at this. It's been sensational from him. So he just makes cuts in majors. He just does his thing. And if we take a look at the top 20 market, he has finished inside the top 20 4 of the last 7, 4 of the last 8. In the last 2 years, he's finished inside the top 20 half the time. So he's finished inside the top 30, 7 of 8 starts this year. So I think his game is best suited for majors. If you take a look at scoring conditions by Hard and Hallish, he is sensational in those departments. So maybe he gets it done, maybe he doesn't, but he's been profitable. If you're just going to bet him tournament by tournament, he's been profitable to you. In the last 2 years, he's returned every single time he's played the majors, he's returned you a cut, $100, So he's an underrated major guy. And as a result, I've bet him to win the majors. I've bet him to win every single major at 100-1. He's finished second in majors multiple times. So when it comes to majors, this is what I want to show you guys. This is my holy trinity. Like if you see me betting anyone at the Masters who has not finished first or second in a major before that, I either have a very good reason for that or I am losing my mind. So I want you to bear that in mind. If we take a look at the Masters since 2001, let's just count. So what's that? 25 Masters, maybe 26. I don't know. Let's count how many people have won the Masters with a major finish that wasn't a runner-up or a win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 19 of the 25 or 26 Masters winners have either finished second or first in a prior major. So you have to have that kind of pedigree to get it done. I think one of these guys was Scotty Scheffler. He won it in 2022 with a 4th place finish, the number 1 golfer in the world. So that's, if you are the number 1 golfer in the world, you might not need a 2nd place finish, but no one is the number 1 golfer in the world not named Scotty Scheffler this week. So that doesn't really matter. If you take a look, who was 2016? I don't know. 6th place finish. Was it Patrick Reed? I can't remember. So you have to have solid performances at the Masters. That's kind of what I'm getting at over here. Since 2012, 13 of the Open champions had a 13. All 13 of the Open champions had a 2nd or better prior to. Look at this. Woo! You need to have good pedigrees at the Open and at the Masters. The US Open is kind of a free-for-all. You can kind of bet wherever you feel like at that situation. So PGA Championship, we've got a lot of Brooks, a lot of Scotty, obviously, Xander, those kind of guys doing their thing. So that's kind of my gospel for you. You have to dominate those situations. And then here's my Masters futures. If you read this article, Patrick Reed got him at 90 to 1. I think he's 30 to 1 now. You could probably still bet that, in all honesty. It's worth it because he has sensational course history. 3rd, 4th, 8th, 10th, and won it in 2018. So in the last 8 years, he's had 5 top 10s at the Masters. So go and bet him top 10, go bet him top 5, go bet him top 20, because then you got 6 of his last 8 finishing inside the top 20. That's what you want to be looking at for Patrick Reed. I think, as I mentioned, top 20, top 50, top 5, top 10 markets, all of that stuff. He's been sensational at the Masters. Look at what he's returned you in these situations. It's very, very nice. Clicking at the Masters in his career, top 20s, he leads everyone that's played the Masters. He's actually returned you more money in the top 20 market than Scotty Scheffler has over that same period of time. He's only had one in the last 6 years where he hasn't top 20'd. So Patrick Reed top 20 is it's juicy, baby. Go find one, go bet it now. Does DraftKings have top 20s out there right now? No. So when that comes out, we want to pounce. Anything plus money, even minus 150. We're going to be betting that at DraftKings. So let's go. All right. So basically what I was getting at, let's make sure we've not done scrolling here. Harris English to win the Masters, 120 to 1. Let's go. All of that stuff. What is this all? What was I saying here? So when it comes to the Masters, I want major pedigree over Masters pedigree. You don't have to have had the best finishes at the Masters to succeed. You just need to have played well in majors before and have played the Masters before. You can't just win the Masters right away like Ludwig almost tried to do. But for the most part, if we take a look at the last couple Masters winners, Scotty won his first Masters with an 18th as his best finish in his 3rd start. Reed won with a career best of 22nd at the Masters. Danny Willett had a 38th, but he did have I think he had a top 2 or top 5 or something close before. He's an outlier too. Bubba Watson, his best finish before winning the Masters the first time, 20th. Charles Schwartzel, 30th. Rahm, Hideki, and Sergio have never finished better than 4th at Augusta prior to their wins. So you don't need like a high-end finish at the Masters in order to win it. You just need a high-end finish in a major in order to win it, which means you need to have finished 2nd or 1st, in my opinion. So that's kind of what we're looking at over there, in my opinion. 482 Gaming says Reed is T10. What? At Bet3 plus 280. So yeah, if you have that book available to you, go over there and smash that. So let's go, baby. Okay, couple more scrolls. The Scotty Scaries, he's gonna, whatever. Okay, so back to the Dog Dominator here. We're gonna take a quick peek. I've actually filtered it for us. We're gonna look here. These are names that will likely be the winner of the tournament. I know this is obvious, but in the last little while, if I zoom out here a lot, we've got the best finish in the last couple of years, since 2018 in a major. So these are 1st and 2nd place finishes that I've kind of filtered by. We're going to be looking at guys that I think can win or cannot. Scotty can win. Yes. All majors, he's gaining 2 strokes per round. Masters, he's gaining 2.1 strokes. At the Masters, obviously he's won this thing twice. And it's not often a defending champion wins this thing. So he's obviously not a defending champion this year. It's unlikely for Rory to win this thing as the defending champ. Just saying. And also, look at this inconsistency over here for Rory at this venue. Scotty hasn't finished outside the top 10 since winning it in 2022 at the Masters. John Rahm obviously has a win when he won the Masters in 2023. He's playing some great golf right now, but he doesn't seem like he's got that absolute competitive edge. The 2 guys he beat were Harold Varner and Thomas Dietrich on the Live Tour. He's lost to Bryson now, I think back-to-back times or something like that. Harold Vaughn and Dietrich, so I'll probably not be like as excited about Jon Rahm as I should be. We saw a lot better golf from him prior to moving to Live. He obviously moved to Live right after 2023, and then we haven't had a top 10 from him since. So also it's been rough. I mean, look at these finishes. He hasn't had a top 5 in a major since kind of going to Live, which is not ideal. So remember, he had a hole in his foot for the US Open. Patrick Reed, winner of the Masters 2018 Masters. Since then, he's had a 4th at the Masters. He had a 4th at the US Open there. He's basically had a 3rd at last year's Masters, where he missed an 8-foot eagle putt on 13 and 3-putted it. Otherwise, he would have been in the playoff. I know he holed out from the fairway, I think, on 14 or 16 or 17, whatever. Still, that 3rd place could have been much better if he didn't fuck up that hole, which I was betting him to win the tournament as well. So I think he would have beat Rory in a playoff for sure versus Justin Rose letting Rory win. Whatever. So Patrick Reed, fantastic Masters track record, as we discussed. Colin Morikawa just withdrew from the Valero Texas Open. I'm not confident that he's in good shape at all. So tough situation there. I was kind of rooting for Colin, maybe getting him in the top 20 in all majors market. With his back injury, I'm scared. Hideki Matsuyama, yes, he's got a win on his resume, but friends, we color-coded this thing for a reason. Look at the colors with Hideki. This guy's seeing in gray. Like, we've got a 6th at the US Open. I'm just rattling off our most recent top 10s in majors. A 6th at the US Open in 2024. A 4th at the US Open in 2022. Then he won the Masters in 2021. So since winning the Masters, he's got 2 top 10s in majors. One of them was a top 5. And when you take a look, this is a random stat, but if you go to Hideki Matsuyama's profile and you check out his strokes gained approach in US Opens, he gains more strokes on approach in US Opens than Sam Burns gains putting at the Valspar. Sam Burns has dominated the Valspar with the putter, won that tournament twice. Hideki gains more on approach in US Opens than Sam Burns gains putting at the Valspar at Innisbrook. So, fun little tidbit for you there. As you can see, the US Opens are typically his best, finishes in majors. So, Hideki Matsuyama. Xander Schauffele is starting to find his groove again. Recent form is like kind of there. It's kind of not. He has not finished outside the top 20 in a major since 2023, starting at the PGA Championship. He has got 14 top 20s, and he missed the freaking top. I laid so much money on the PGA Championship top 20, and he hooked it in the water, I think, to start the Green Mile. Finished 28th. That is like his worst finish in quite some time after missing the cut in 2022. He is just a top 20 juggernaut in majors. Insanely consistent. He just levels it up in majors. He's so good in majors, and the consistency he has is sensational. If you take a look at the Masters, he's finished inside the top 10 now 3 straight years. Obviously lost to Hideki Matsuyama in 2021, after the rain delay and all of that. So finished second in 2019. So he did have that second place finish before winning the PGA Championship. So you can check. He's got that second. Boom. 2 second place finishes, and as a result, 1. So he's there. Rory McIlroy, I think, as the defending champ, I just never trust the defending champ. It's tough. I don't think the defending champ has ever finished inside the top 5 apart from Scottie Scheffler. Rory's not Scottie Scheffler. And you can take a look at this track record at Augusta. It's very inconsistent. So maybe an upside play for Rory, but even then, the upside is not there with major defending Masters green jacket holders. So it's really interesting to see from that aspect. Cam Smith sucks, and as a Cam Smith homer, that hurts me to say. He's missed 5 consecutive cuts in majors, and that was after he won the Open Championship in 2022. Finished 4th at the US Open in 2023. He went to Live in 2023. So the residual talent that was there came through, and then just crap. Last 7 majors, nothing better than a 32nd. So He is playing a little bit better on live, but he also lost to Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson at the Australian Open or the Australian PGA, one of the two. 3-putted. Cam Smith never 3-putts. He 1-putts to win the Open. 3-putted to lose his own home Open or home PGA. So I'm out on Cam Smith. Shane Lowry's got an obvious win, I think, in 2019. He won the Open Championship, a 4th at the PGA, a 3rd at the Masters, a 6th at the PGA in 2024, and a 6th at the Open Championship in 2024. I bought my father-in-law a Shane Lowry top 20 ticket in all 4 majors last year. He was trying to win the Masters to begin the year. He was like 6th on the leaderboard going into the final round of the Masters and finished 42nd. It was one of the biggest ejections I've ever seen. Shane, and then went on to say, fuck this place in every single one of the next 3 majors. There's a montage out there where he's hit a shot and then immediately says, fuck this place. And one of the places was the Open Championship in 2025 at Murfield, was it? Or wherever he was, where he won it. The course that he won in Ireland, he was saying, fuck this place. What a pathetic phrase to use to describe a golf course that you've won a major at. So, you know, Shane Lowry, in my opinion, no good in majors right now. He's been struggling. His confidence is absolutely shattered after finishing 2nd at the Cognizant in epically bad fashion. So it's been a while since Justin Thomas has done anything relevant. His best finish since 2018 at the Masters was a 4th in COVID year when the course was playing easier. This is Justin Thomas's thing, okay? Listen to me now. If you are looking at Hideki Matsuyama's stuff, take a look at Justin Thomas's track record in majors. Quick giveaway for somebody in the chat. Hit me up right now. Tell me how many top 5s Justin Thomas has in his major career. First person to give me the right number gets a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon. Boom. Right now in the comments. First person to tell me how many top 5s Justin Thomas has had in majors in his career. First person to tell me that in the comments gets a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon. I'm actually going to quickly put it up right now. I can't remember the exact number, but it's not good. All right. Majors for Justin Thomas. Finishes. Okay. Cool. Since I'm on a time crunch, congratulations, Brandon McDonald. Brad McDonald, you're going to be in the Model Maniac Patreon. Justin Thomas, I think, has played in like 40 majors. He's got 3 top 5s. 2 of them were the wins. Look at this. 2 wins at the PGA Championship, and the 2020 Masters was his 3rd top 5. We've got T6s, T8s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 8 top 10s in 40 majors. Look at this. This is pathetic, man. So I think the problem with Justin Thomas in the majors is the driving ability. He's very bad at keeping the ball in the fairway. He's very inaccurate with the driver. He can't hit a draw accurately. So as a result, Justin Thomas tends to really struggle in majors. If you take a look at Justin Thomas's major strokes gained, it's like one of the worst out here, especially with Cam Smith doing his stuff. So congrats, Brad. Hit me up on X, DM me, or come into the Model Maniac Discord, and you'll show up in the lobby there, and I'll welcome you in. I'll get you hooked up with the Patreon link over there. Good answer, by the way. Wheels Up said 2. That was not far off, and JP Del Frio said 4. It was not far off either. So, it's pretty abysmal. Pretty abysmal. Matt Fitzpatrick has only had a top 10 at the 2023 Masters. Nothing better than that. No other top 10s there, despite having won the US Open in 2022. So he's playing great golf right now. He's ball striking the living piss out of it. I don't know. We just went through the trends earlier that it doesn't really matter that you don't have great Masters pedigree here. He has a 10th and a 22nd and a 14th. Those are all the same things that we saw for the guys above here, right? 20th, 30th, 38th, 22nd, 18th for all the winners that we've shown you. You don't need the best finishes at the Masters in order to win. You just need a win in a major or a 2nd in a major. Congrats to Matt Fitzpatrick on having a great run at the Masters this year. It's very likely. Dustin Thomas has not had a top 20 since his 10th place finish at the US Open in 2023. You know, find when these guys went to live, find when their major track record starts just dwindling. It's insane. Find when Brooks Koepka goes to live, somewhere around here. Won the Masters, second at the Masters, and then won the PGA Championship. No top 10s in a major in the last 10. He's playing better golf now, but he can't putt. You know, you can't putt as bad as he is in majors right now. So we may have to cut this short depending on if these people have arrived to check me out. It might be Mrs. Maniac. I don't know yet. Phil Mickelson, I've got zero interest in. Bryson DeChambeau is getting, look at this. He'd never had a top 20 at the Masters until his 6th place finish in 2024, then finished 5th in 2025. He's trending pretty hard. He drives the ball fantastically. I think he's obviously a 2-time US Open champion. Wyndham Clark is sensationally overrated in majors. He's got 2 top 40s in majors, one of them being a US Open win and the other being a 4th place at the Open last year. Look at this. No other top 20s, no other top 40s, top 30s, sorry. He's got a 33rd at the Open Championship. So outside of that, when your 2 top 30s are a 1st and a 4th, like, he's just not consistent enough. I'm always going to be betting this guy to miss the cut in majors, actually. That's my go-to. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 missed cuts in the last 8. Let's go. You know, if we get plus money for him to miss the cut, I'm in. Tiger Woods, who the hell knows what he's doing. Brian Harmon, not around Augusta, really. I don't think he's got the distance to contend there. It's unfortunately just not going to happen for him. Ludwig Oberg is fantastic. I actually have made a bet for Ludwig at 22-1 when that number was out there to get it done. Now it's 16. Feel free to jump on that if you're in the mood. I think Ludwig could win this Masters because he actually has that 2nd place finish that we need. Granted, his major track record is pretty much hinges on Augusta. He's been pretty bad in majors overall, but Augusta suits his eye for some reason. He's got a 2nd and a 7th. He'll have, you know, the best outside of Scotty. He's got the best Masters strokes gained in his 2 starts. It just makes way much more sense. Wow. However you want to put those words together, you can. So 7th and 2nd, he's got no other top 10s in any of the other 6 majors he's played in. Take that for what you want. Be aggressive on him this Masters, and then maybe he plays well in these other majors, maybe he doesn't. But it's interesting to note. You know, I think we saw how nervy he got at the Players. This is major golf, man. It's a different situation. Ricky Fowler. Now we finally getting into guys that have the 2nd place finishes, and this 2nd place finish came forever ago. I don't think Ricky's even in the Masters unless he wins the Valero. So if he does, then you talk, but he's not in the Masters field right now. Tommy Fleetwood's most recent top 10 was a 3rd place finish at the 2024 Masters. You know, he's kind of not had his A game, and considering how well he played in 2025, his best finish being a 16th at the Open, maybe he's kind of not, you know, Tommy's kind of a mental midget at times. Major golf is major golf, man. And I think the 2nd place finish he had back at the Open, I don't know if it was a backdoor situation, but I think the 2018 2nd place finish was like he went out in the morning and shot a 62 when the course was susceptible and soft, and then the entire field came back to him in the afternoon. He had a backdoor top 2 there kind of thing, I think. I don't think I'm that thrilled about Tommy Fleetwood. Jordan Spieth, 2023 top 5 was his last top 10 in a major. That's like 3 years ago, friends. You know, I don't know what he gets up to in these majors anymore. The Masters is typically where he has his best results too, kind of like the Valero. Victor Hovland has basically a 3rd place finish every single year in a major. 3rd at the US Open last year, 3rd at the PGA Championship last year, 2nd at the PGA Championship, a 4th at the Open in 2022. And then, you know, prior to that, he wasn't the Vic that we know and love and let her get abducted by aliens. So, you know, if you want to bet Victor Hovland top 5 at majors just like every single time, there's a good chance he cashes that for you. He's done that for you now once a year. So that's Victor Hovland. Harris English, we've spoken about it. 2nd at the PGA Championship, 2nd at the Open Championship last year. 2 2nd place finishes in his last 3 majors. He's got a third at the Open, the US Open in 2021. We've got a fourth at the US Open in 2020. Prior to that, not the greatest. Again, this is he's one of these guys that has got a massive gap in his major resume. This range over here goes back even a couple more years. That's like quite a while. So he's now shown up back in the majors, and when he's playing good golf, he plays good golf. Obviously, we don't need incredible finishes at the Masters to win it. He has a 12th place finish regardless. Justin Rose, absolutely going to be a first-round leader candidate for the Masters as well. You got a second place finish here last year, so he can win a major. We've seen him get into a playoff, literally. The 2 times he's finished second at the Masters have been in playoffs. He's beaten everyone through 72 holes twice at the Masters and hasn't won it, sadly. So Sungjae Im is a Masters cheat code. You know, if you take a look at the rest of his major track record, Masters is usually the one that's colored. You know, last year's Open 7th place finish is one of his best, and I think it's his only other top 10 in a non-Masters major. So you want to be looking at Sungjae in the Masters for some reason. He did miss the cut here last year when he was, 2024. Last year he finished 5th, and he wasn't even playing great golf in 2025. Tom Kim has a 2nd at the Open Championship and an 8th at the 2023 US Open, both of them in 2023. Since then, we haven't had a top 20, but he does have a 2nd place on his resume. That's the same as Jason Day and Sepp Straka. They were all 2nd places at the same Open Championship. Jason Day, obviously a US Open champion or a PGA champion, one of the two, at one of Chambers Bay, or I don't know, was that Jordan Spieth's one? It's similar situation, you know, similar kind of venue for Jay Day. Bobby Mack, 2nd place now at the US Open. Was it backdoory? Yes, but he's got a 2nd now. He's got that confidence to break through. Cameron Young has a 2nd place at the Open Championship that Cam Smith won. He kind of courtesy of Rory McIlroy trying to win it and not making birdie on the final hole, but he still would have tied him anyway. Cam Young, 2nd at the Open in 2022 and finished 4th at the US Open last year. So he's got a bit of that going on. Louis Oosthuizen won't be showing up to the Masters anyway. This was for best ball, which I'll be doing a draft with Fantasy Football Garage tonight at 8 my time, 9 Eastern. So check that out. Would love to have you guys in there. We went a little longer than I had to. I've got some other stuff to do. I love you all. Use code FGD when signing up for DraftKings. When you are using code VALERO26 for the Model Maniac Patreon, get yourself 50% off your first month. That will get you through the Masters. So would love to have you in there from then on out. But, you know, if you want to taste the scene, it's $15 for 4 weeks worth of stuff that I give you. All of this. There's showdown stuff in there after each round. There's DFS, there's betting, there's everything, as you know, you all know, that are in there. So Brad, make sure you reach out to me on X or get into the Model Maniac Discord. I'll hook you up. Awesome stuff, people. Really appreciate you all. I love you being in the chat. This was awesome. I've loved doing a couple solo shows. We will have a show on Monday with Spencer for the Masters. So it'll be Monday afternoon because the Fantasy Golf Degenerate show will come out on either Saturday or Sunday. So we'll be doing a Monday show on the Masters with Spencer, my boy. It's going to be a great time. We can expect that to go 2+ hours. We're going to be going deep into the weeds as we always do. I love doing shows with him. I know you guys love it when I do shows with him too. So maybe we got to do other stuff on camera. I'm just kidding. We love you all. Have a great day. Happy Masters Eve week.